In part 4 of our series on Steven Avery and the murder of Teresa Halbach, we meet Brendan Dassey. We'll learn a bit about Brendan's upbringing and his disability. We then focus on the police interrogations conducted with Brendan, some legal, some not. We'll break down each interview with him and see how the police were able to get more and more information out of him as the interrogations progressed. Is what they got the truth? Or did they exploit a gullible person to say what they wanted to hear? I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. Tonight, we'll discuss a pizza roll eating wrestling fan getting his rights abused by the Popo. So stick around. And no, Mike did not get caught dicking down the wife of the police chief. Again. This is Necronomipod.
As I usually walk to your house, Dave, I have my AirPods in, and sometimes I'm listening to music to get me fired up, ready to record.
Hell yeah.
Got to get in the mood. Today it was Selena, Dreaming of You.
Really?
How about that? Reminded me of the J-Lo movie, which I had not seen in a while.
Good movie.
First time I saw it, cried my eyes out.
Really?
Didn't expect that.
Aww.
Didn't expect it. Wasn't as familiar with the story. Knew she'd been tragically killed, but...
By your fan club president, right?
That's right. To the best of my knowledge. It was like stealing funds and stuff. Or
Seemed like she was embezzling.
Embezzling
and,
money.
was gonna boot her.
Something like that. And she went to confront her and got shot. At least that's what the movie told me. I've never read the book, but...
Big question is, would J-Lo have become a superstar had Selena not been killed?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or would she just be
I
Jenny on the block still?
I think she very much would have still been a superstar. Are you saying there's not room for both of them?
I'm saying that was her breakout role, which turned her into a star, wasn't it?
It was certainly movie. I don't know where she was musically at that point. Did movies come first for her?
I thought so, yeah. I may be 100% wrong, though.
The first time...
I don't know for sure.
yeah.
I thought her music came
Oh, really?
first. If I had to guess, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
I am speaking way out of turn.
I am too.
I was just
That's
trying to
what I
make a
love to
joke
do on
about
the
how
show.
I was listening to a ballad on the walk down here today.
Whatever
Song
gets
slaps.
Whatever gets you pumped up, pal.
Oh, it very much didn't. I just wanted to hear it. I had to put on something else afterwards just to get me in the zone. Yeah. I was ready just to turn around and go home and be like, guys, I don't feel very good. I'm going to go home and cry.
Mike gets fired up with his sad song playlist.
Yeah. So that's what I got going on.
Big July 4th. Ian, you going to be doing some fireworks activity this year?
I don't know. You just gave me some coupons for the fireworks tour.
As we record this, it's what, July 1st?
Yeah.
This will probably come out after, but...
I have a family thing that's in an area where fireworks isn't legal. Like, I don't think you can blow them off there. So I'm not going to be doing them on the 4th, but...
It's only illegal if you get caught, pal.
That's true.
Just like every other crime.
Pretty sure that's what the first moonshiners said when they were racing cars in a circle.
I'm a little concerned about it this year because technically it's illegal at my house too. Like technically it is.
Even on this day, I thought on certain days of the year you can blow them off. Oh, but you're in the city proper,
Yeah.
so they can counteract that and pass their own laws. Right?
Yeah, freedom!
Yeah.
Woo! What a great country we live in.
I made somebody very mad last year. Like I made somebody really, really fucking mad last year. So
Yeah, we're out in the township. I mean, I could shoot a machine gun in my backyard if I want to.
that's kind of what it sounded like. I
Often
was
people
doing.
do. If you can't set off fireworks in your own yard on the 4th of July, what the fuck has it all been for?
That's what I was saying.
Burn it all down.
Let's restart. Hit the reset button. Do a rage quit. Pull the game out. Give it a heavy blow. Put it back in the system. And let's start over again.
America 2.0.
If you can't put off fireworks on the 4th of July, what the fuck?
It was one of those fireworks too that you, when you light it and it starts going off, you're like, oh man, I kind of fucked up. Like that's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, how long is this going to go for?
That is exactly how I was looking at him. Like, please stop.
This stopped being fun a minute and a half ago. Please stop blowing up.
His neighbor's over there. Are you trying to drive me crazy?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'll probably hit up the $75 coupon one, though.
Yeah.
When's it? You make sure you get the when it's valid for. Don't miss that.
7/7. That's the time to always go is after 4th of July.
Of course.
Just like buying Christmas ornaments, right?
Or Christmas tree. Any of the Christmas decorations, really. I need to get a new Christmas tree this year.
Do you?
Thank you for reminding me.
Well,
Might have
sure.
to wait till after Christmas, though.
That's a smart time to do it.
I know, but it's going to be a very weird setup until after then. This might be a throwaway Christmas. We'll call it that.
It happens. Just get a little 12-incher like I have.
I bet you wish you had a 12-incher, pal.
We took a picture in front of my little tree that one year.
That's true. We did. You literally held it in your hands like a proud papa, or like a little kid catching his first fish.
That's right. Look what I did.
Yeah, I got to get a new one though. But all right. Well, we got a lot to get into tonight, and this is now we're getting into the deep shit.
Yeah.
Shit starts popping off tonight.
I feel like you two might relate to one of the individuals we're discussing here this evening.
Well, we'll see about that.
Where we left off on part 3, on November 5th, Pam Stern and her daughter, Nicole, walked onto the Avery lot with permission from detectives. That was Teresa's cousin, and police told her, it's a public lot. They allow customers in, so yeah, you guys can go in, but if you find anything, you need to call us first. Don't touch it. They signed in at 10:30 a.m., walked a few rows, and found Teresa's RAV4 hidden behind some junked out cars with branches leaned up against it. It took them less than 30 minutes to find it. By noon, the yard was locked down as a crime scene. Investigators took pictures of blood near the ignition, pulled Teresa's plates from the back cargo area, and brought in a cadaver dog that alerted on the burn pit. That afternoon, they started sifting. They found bone fragments, teeth, rivets from a pair of jeans, and part of a cell phone backplate. 3 days later, on their 7th time through Steven's trailer, a pair of deputies suddenly noticed they found Teresa's spare Toyota key on the floor of his bedroom. Those were the 2 officers that were responsible for, was that 1995 when they got a call that Steven was in jail wrongfully? Like, hey, we got the real guy here. Andrew Colborn took that call, passed it on to Jim Lank. Those were the 2 guys who found this key.
So you could say they would have motive to do something.
Help their careers. Get back on track.
Help the department that's facing a $36 million lawsuit.
Right.
Because you said when this happened, like the lawsuit just went away.
Yeah, it just
when
stopped.
this came out.
Mm-hmm. And this happened on this incident with Teresa happened on the night that the discovery ran out for the county, meaning that the county now, they just never gave up anything. They never provided any documents or anything. So it seemed like they were headed to being forced into.
Mm-hmm. That's convenient.
There's also some specifics on that we'll get into in part 5 about like who actually would have paid out that money and stuff. Because from what I read, there's some potential that there was like some twisting of that from the making a murder.
Interesting.
People.
You can picture the head of the law firm that fronted all the advance money to fund this thing when he gets arrested. Like,
I think it was like $500,000 or like $600,000 had been spent so far on it.
It's like the meme of the kid with the pursed lips, just like,
yeah, right. The guy in the stands with his hands on his hips.
one too.
That's my favorite one. That guy is so disappointed in whatever he's looking at. I feel that 4 or 5 times a day.
So they also logged a .22 rifle and 2 shotguns in Steven's closet, and that was enough to hit him with possession because he, as a felon, he wasn't allowed to have guns. They put his bond at $500,000, cash only. That brings us to Brendan Dassey. Brendan was born on October 19th, 1989. He was Barb Jonda's 3rd son After his dad, Peter, moved out, Brendan grew up in a trailer on the north edge of Avery Salvage, just a short walk from Steven's place. He liked routine and stuck to a strict one of school, video games, wrestling, and microwave pizza rolls.
But before we move on, I just want to say I agree with his entire lifestyle here. Don't microwave your pizza rolls. Don't microwave them. They're not good.
Never good.
The toaster oven,
Never.
air fryer, that's the way to do it. Please. A nice little crunch on the outside. The best is I'll put them in the oven, the toaster oven, and as soon as you see them start to like bubble out the side a little bit, that's when they're ready. And then it'll start calling to you like, pew, pew. Hey, it's ready. Hey, eat me, eat me.
I've heard that somewhere before.
Then you pull them out, and I think I've said this before. Throw them on a plate, because you don't want to keep them on the tray. Open that one last beer, because you can't just dive into that fucking lava. Open that last cool down beer, drink that. When you're done with your beer, those pizza rolls are ready to be devoured.
It's good advice, pal.
Well, if I'm good for nothing else, I'll at least get you through a good pizza roll meal.
So what was the relation here? How was Barb Jonda related to Steven?
That was Steven's sister.
That's his sister. Okay.
Which would make then, so Brendan is Steven's nephew,
Yeah.
which I think we had said.
Right.
Okay. I'm getting that right in my head. Sorry.
By the time he was a sophomore, Brendan was 6'2", but developmentally behind his classmates. An IEP on file at Mishicot High School listed his IQ at 73, and he was reading at a 4th grade level. Teachers described him as quiet, compliant. He would agree so you would stop talking. He would agree so you'd stop asking follow-up questions. Compliance is a big one that's noted a lot in like any files on him and stuff. It's just like appease people.
Make it stop.
Yeah, almost like not wanting to socially interact too, right? Like if you're asking me questions, like I'm going to say what you want to hear, or give you an answer so that you move on.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He had no known record of behavioral issues. He mostly kept to himself, aside from a few gaming friends. I think specifically he had 2 friends, and they were doing some kind of a video game club kind of thing. And his brothers, Bobby and Blaine. We just said that he was really big into wrestling. Brendan would tape Monday Night Raw on a VCR, memorize promos. He had a notebook that he would book fantasy matches in. on pay-per-view weekends, he'd walk across the yard to Steven's trailer, throw in $5, and they'd watch it together. He's just living his best life with wrestling.
Did Bobby and Blaine come over and hang out and watch wrestling with Steven too?
Well, I'll tell you what, if he's only throwing in $5, unless Steven's paying the rest. I mean, you're talking back then it was like $30 a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Not like nowadays where I don't know what it is for WWE because it's on the Peacock, but like UFC is like $80
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I don't know who's buying UFC pay-per-views anymore.
To us occasionally. We have.
Well,
Not often, but we have. I don't know. If he's only paying $5, there better be other people around, or Steven's picking up all that cost.
Right. Well, Steven's anticipating the big payout, so maybe he's fronting it. Blaine, isn't that the... It's not a name. What's the pretty in pink? That's a major appliance. That's not a name. Is that what Ducky said?
Yeah.
Blaine.
I get the VCR thing too. I used to tape Raw or any wrestling stuff on VCR back in the day.
I did occasionally when needed.
I would have to decide which one I was going to tape over, which one I wasn't.
Isn't it crazy? Like back in the day when you were recording something, like you couldn't fuck with the TV. It's not like TiVo, DVR. So like if I was recording something, I would put all the remotes together and put a big note over it that says recording, do not touch. Whatever it might have been. And because that's how because if someone changed the channel, now you're fucking recording, Dateline or something. That's not what you wanted. Right.
How many times did your mom mess up your wrestling recordings?
I don't record. I put like caution tape around the fucking living room. Hey, we're recording.
After you gave her that flying elbow, she's like, this motherfucker, I'm tape over this bullshit.
Well, never mind. That's more embarrassing. I'm going to move on. Not even going to discuss what was being recorded often.
So the salvage yard was also his part-time job. he'd get $10 an hour for stacking tires or hauling rims. So that's who Brendan was in 2006.
So he had a rim job. That's good.
Yeah,
Good.
he was playing a lot of
Wrestling, rim jobs, and pizza rolls. Are you fucking kidding me right now? And end the series at this. This is the highest it's going to get.
He peaked.
The series peaked. This is it. This is as good as it gets.
Fuck it. It's
I
over.
feel like everything after this is going to be a lot of heartbreak for all parties involved. Just saying.
On the afternoon of November 6th, investigator Mark Weigert from the Calumet County Sheriff's Office and agent Kevin Heimerl from Wisconsin DCI walked into Barb's trailer on Avery Salvage. They didn't bring a recorder or camera, just a notepad. Brendan wasn't under arrest, and they weren't treating him like a suspect, so they didn't read him his rights. Barb was sitting at the kitchen table while this questioning started. Brendan told them that on Halloween night, he helped Steven, Blaine, and Bobby toss old tires and a seat cushion onto a fire behind Steven's garage. He said the flames eventually reached the height of the roof, but it looked like a regular fire, just one that got a little out of hand. No sign of Teresa. There's no RAV4, nothing unusual in the pit or burn barrels. After that, he said he walked back to the trailer around 9 to watch wrestling and play video games.
Hey, I got a question. Is the mom, I don't know what we said, like low IQ, learning disabled?
Not the mom, but this is like preying on people that aren't
Sophisticated?
yeah, that aren't, poverty, not educated, really. I'm trying to think of a way to say it without sounding like a dickhead.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
I get it. But one, your brother just got out of prison after being locked up for 20 years for a crime that the police framed him for, more or less. You'd think you'd be a little more weary about letting that same, group of law enforcement people talk to your son about a murder that was committed on the property where you live without an attorney. This is outrageous.
It very much seems that that's not probably where this lady's head is at.
Yeah.
I get the picture of maybe this is just kind of a very enclosed family, kind of shut off from a lot of the outside world, maybe in a lot of ways.
I guess.
Poorly educated.
My God. What are
But
you doing?
But you can't expect everybody to know that way, right? Like I don't know.
I feel like this is the same situation as Damien Eccles' mom, how she was just like,
I don't remember that.
Well, yeah, I guess that's my point. In general, I think that's right. But based on what has happened to their family over the past 20 years, I don't know how you're not more
But what I'm saying,
cautious.
I don't know if that's if even registering with her.
Well, that's crazy then.
Yeah, I guess that's a different level. I see what you're saying now. That
most people in their scenario, I would understand their lack of expertise when dealing with law enforcement. Well, however you want to phrase that. In this scenario, I would expect a little more caution and to be very wary of police, especially these specific police.
right.
I have not seen any interviews with the mom. I'm willing to bet maybe she's on the low end of the learning ability scale
fair.
as well.
That's fair.
So that interview filled 3 handwritten pages, and there was no follow-up scheduled at that time. November 15th, 2005, DA Ken Kratz filed a 3-count criminal complaint against Steven. The charges were first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and felon in possession of a firearm. A few hours later, during a cash bail hearing, Steven's attorney asked for $100,000, talking about how Steven had strong ties to the family area, so he wasn't a flight risk, like he wasn't going to take off, and the fact that Steven had already spent 18 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit. But Judge Patrick Willis denied that and set the bail at $500,000 cash. So get a little bit more into the specifics of the evidence that we talked about last week. Investigators documented 24 bone fragments and 2 molars recovered from the burn pit behind Steven's garage. The mitochondrial DNA match to Teresa was confirmed using a sample from her mother. Mixed with the ash were steel belt wires from half-melted tires, a rivet labeled Daisy Fuentes that matched the jeans that Teresa wore on that day, and a cranial fragment with a straight edge cut mark consistent with a bladed tool.
Side note, big fan of Daisy Fuentes back in the old days.
Yeah, who is that? I don't even know who that is.
I know the name, but I can't
She's on
think of
MTV,
her.
like a host on MTV, doing all kinds of stuff.
MTV?
Yeah.
I
All
remember
that
the
spring
name.
break stuff, right? I don't remember exactly what shows or anything. Was she Cuban?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember her based on looks. Yeah, my gusta. So it
We
was her
said-
brand of clothes, is what we're saying.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was her jeans. So we said last week that we'll get to Steven's, the evidence, like his defense in part 5. We'll get into the defense from this stuff, but this is what we're just kind of going in chronological order, that this is what they presented.
So don't get all pissed off at us.
Yeah, don't get mad about
We're
it.
just telling a story as it goes.
Because there are people that are very passionate and supportive, Steven.
Yeah, tons of people. And I want to amend something. I went back and looked at the dates we're dealing with here. So they found Pam Sturm on November 5th. They were in there, and they didn't find this key and whatnot until 3 days later. That's the 8th. So if they were interviewing Brandy on the 6th, maybe cut him a little more slack because that was before
Brendan,
Brendan.
you said Brandy.
Brandy? Who's that?
Maybe Brendan Dassey. Maybe. You said Brandy. And I was like, wait, who's fucking Brandy? Did I miss this part? Brendan.
So
Yes.
maybe this was in between them picking him up. So maybe a little less cautious than if this would have been after they already took his uncle. So I'll retract a little bit of that.
Yeah, this is pretty quick and into it.
Yeah. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit more.
A few yards north of Steven's front door, investigators pried open a burn barrel and took pictures of the charred remains of a Motorola Razr, a Canon PowerShot A310, and a Palm Pilot. Electronics coworker said Teresa always had with her when she was out working. The SIM card had half melted, but enough survived for examiners to confirm the make and model.
Not a very good burn barrel if you're leaving that much evidence in it, right?
And that's a second area. That's not the burn pit where the fire was like up over the roof. This was a second.
Where they were putting tires on and stuff.
Yeah. The items were found in a second barrel.
Is this stuff all legitimately found or questionable, like the car and the key?
This stuff is not there. In my opinion, I don't see the question with this at all.
Okay.
I mean, you're having to believe that the police planted this evidence in this burn barrel, and her bones and shit.
Yeah.
Well, because last week we left off with them maybe planning a car and a key.
Right.
How far are they willing to go to clean up this entire disaster that they created from the first false
That's
conviction?
the whole question.
So I was just
pal.
trying to get I'm asking from an outsider standpoint, like, what are we taking this as is, or is this, maybe I'm jumping ahead of the gun?
Inside the RAV4, crime lab techs found flakes and swipes of Steven's type B blood on the ignition, center console, and driver's side carpet. The largest stain, right beside the ignition cylinder, held intact white cell nuclei, which let the lab pull a full STR profile. That's that DNA that we were talking about last week. That was like or 2 weeks ago, whatever. That was more with the times, whatever. When Brendan, later in this episode, when we get into the interrogations and he talks about Steven lifting the hood of the RAV4, investigators swabbed the latch and pulled a low template epithelial profile consistent with Steven. No blood cells, just what Kratz called sweat. The sweat this is very loose. But this is all stuff we'll talk about on part 5 with like the trial itself and everything.
It's a good tease into what's going to be presented at trial.
Like that sweat shit it's wild.
Sweat.
You're trying to tell me that you can pull sweat off of a latch of a car.
Yeah.
Back in Steven's trailer, remember we talked about earlier how James Lank and Andrew Colborn found Teresa's spare Toyota key. the lab tech, Sherry Culhane, who we've been talking about her since the very, very beginning of this series. She swabbed the grip and got Steven's DNA only. The key carried none of Teresa's epithelial cells.
I don't know how this person I don't know how half these people can even be involved in investigating a case like this. Doesn't it taint the evidence off the bat? Yeah, like shouldn't this be shipped out to another crime lab, another investigatory agency?
This one especially, how she was directly involved in him being put away, wrongly put away. Like,
right.
She should not be able to be a part of this at all.
She's been nowhere near this.
Like, she's the one that testified the 99% thing.
Right.
That she should have never said that.
Yeah. Oh, Sherry.
Crime scene technicians mapped 8 .22 caliber impact divots clustered around the garage floor, but couldn't locate a slug at first. This garage is like a fucking disaster. There's just shit everywhere.
That's exactly what you imagine it looks like, right?
Yeah. So they searched and searched and searched. And then after vacuuming under an air compressor on March 1st, they pulled out a mangled lead bullet. Forensic analyst Angela Ferguson testified that the bullet had Teresa's DNA on it and matched rifling on Steven's Marlin Model 60 rifle that was taken on November 6th. Again, we'll talk about Steven's side of that next week. But by December 31st, the prosecution could lay out a straight line story. Human remains in Teresa's clothing in Steven's pit, her burnt electronics in his barrel, his blood and sweat in her SUV, her spare key on his bedroom floor, and a bullet with her DNA linked to his rifle in the garage.
That is a overwhelming amount of evidence.
It certainly is.
Throughout January 2006, Brendan stayed in touch with Steven the only way that he could, which was through collect calls that went through the jail phone system. Between January 5th and the 25th, they talked 9 times. Each call followed the same pattern. Brendan gave short updates about school, talked about what happened on Raw. He was talking about SmackDown versus Raw, his PS2 video game. It was a super good game back in the day. Did you ever play that one?
I think those were the ones that I mainly played. SmackDown vs. Raw, like maybe not this one, but just like the SmackDown vs. Raw. I don't know what they call them. 07, 08, 09. Yeah, those were fun.
Who was the champ in January 06?
So I didn't 2002 to 2006 is when I like completely fell away from wrestling.
Oh, well, the dark days, dark years.
But in November or in early January of 06 was obviously the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view where Edge cashed in his first ever Money in the Bank and beat John Cena for the world title. 3 weeks later, Cena would beat him back at the Royal Rumble for the belt. We're talking world heavyweight title. It was still Batista, and then I believe he got injured by Mark Henry for a shoot. They had a 20-man battle royal in which your Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle won.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But I didn't watch that, so I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, no Googling was involved in that. There was no edits that took place just now.
I wasn't watching
That was a
them.
one-taker.
Yeah, I wasn't watching them, so I don't know. Could be some faults. There isn't.
Steven just kind of kept their conversation simple. Would tell him stuff like everything's going to be all right. They never talked about Teresa or the case. The tone never shifted. Just sounded like a teenager checking in on his uncle, kind of worried about what's going on. And this goes two ways. The prosecution next week, they start talking about this like this is how cold they are, that they're keeping up this facade the whole time, while the defense is like, if they like, wouldn't they be talking about this? Like, how do you cover your own ass and stuff?
Especially Brendan, because doesn't seem like he would know better.
Definitely not.
If we're going to talk about, if what we get into with him admitting to is true, I don't think he would have kept his mouth shut during these calls. I don't think he'd be able to, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil how much involvement I think he has, but yeah, you would think he would, or was he waiting for Steven to bring it up, and when Steven never does, he doesn't? Like, I don't.
Yeah, all right, maybe.
I don't know, like, what his thought process would be.
Based on what we'll get into here in a bit, it could be maybe fear a little bit. Like, is made very clear to him based on what he says that he is not to, talk.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'll save my thoughts for the end on this one.
Brendan also sent 2 letters. The first one, sometime in mid-January, was a pencil sketch of The Undertaker, like the wide brim hat and rolled back eyes.
Yeah. Vintage Undertaker.
Yeah, old school. The second one showed up about a week later. Brendan asked if they could have another bonfire, quote, when you get out, and signed it with a smiley face. Neither note mentioned Teresa or anything about the investigation. In the morning of February 20th, during a regular school day in Michigan, 14-year-old Kayla Dassey sat down for what started as a routine check-in with her middle school guidance counselor. Midway through the conversation, she said that Brendan had once told her something, quote, really bad.
Brendan's her brother?
Cousin.
Okay.
A cousin, yeah. She's a
But
cousin.
not Steven's sister, like another cousin.
Right.
Okay.
He'd seen, quote, body parts in the fire behind Uncle Steven's garage and had thrown up afterwards. And I don't know what this was, why she was mandated, why she had us, the counselor set up. I don't know if it was like an educational thing or whatever, but she was part of some type of a program where she was required to meet with a counselor. This comes out, and the counselor was then mandated by Wisconsin law to report this, and typed up a statement and filed it with Child Protective Services by the end of the school day.
I would hope so.
He did his job.
Yeah.
Good on this counselor.
Good on the counselor.
It's sad we have to say that, but you know what? He did his job.
Probably sat down, had a cheese sandwich for lunch first, then typed it up.
Paid for by the school district. That's what they
Hopefully.
could afford for him. Oh, it's Wisconsin. I get it. Cheese sandwich.
Cheese.
We discussed that.
Yeah.
I thought you were making fun of public schools.
Oh, no.
In which case, still sad state of affairs. But what are you going to do?
I would have loved to have gone to public schools.
It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. You know what was
fucking
sweet?
sweet.
There were fucking girls there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
I
a
had-
plus for sure.
I had girls at my schools, pal. Like in
Well,
elementary
not in
school.
high school.
No, not in high school, but
That's the best time, though.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
well, yeah, but by then you're paying heavily for school. So like, if I'm talking lunches, like we had the fucking shit or awesome because we were paying $7,000, $8,000 a year.
That's true.
I was simply looking at it for a public school lunch, and I thought you were making a cheese joke. We're getting really into the weeds on this. I just thought he was making a stupid joke about him eating a poor cheese sandwich.
No. Although I would have loved to have gone to fucking Gould High and got some of that trim that Ian was nailing down on there. In
By
Southern
trim, do you mean
Ohio.
uncooked pizza or uncooked vagina?
fucking Gould?
Trim. That's such a ridiculous term.
That's a dated term. Trim. Yeah. I have literally never said that in my life. Trim.
So see,
Makes me think of that Tony Soprano clip on the soundboard. What does he say? That's a gorgeous piece of coos.
yeah.
I've never heard that before until that one.
CPS passed the report to Calumet County that same afternoon. Detectives Mark Weiger and Tom Fassbender went straight to Kayla's house and took a formal statement at the kitchen table. She placed the story on Halloween night, the same bonfire Brendan had already mentioned, and said that Brendan looked scared when he told her. He also warned her not to repeat it because, quote, people would get in trouble. After they spoke with Kayla, Ken Kratz signed off the next day on separating Brendan from his family and press him for details. So do a regular interrogation. He's 16.
Well, but the family can go, no, We're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they could. They could step in. He can also just say, no, I'm not under arrest. I understand he can't comprehend that probably, but.
This is the first part that I have an issue with. Like, I'm going to read these two sentences, and then we're going to talk about this because this is fucking crazy. Detective Mark Weiger and Tom Fassbender showed up at Michigan High School around 9:15 a.m. on Friday, February 24th. They didn't call ahead. They just came in, signed Brendan out of class, and walked him straight into an unmarked car, telling him that they needed help, quote, to clear up a couple things. 40 minutes later, they pulled into Avery Salvage. Parent or not, like, he's not going to understand that he can't just say no to this.
Right. That's crazy.
You can't just take him out of school without the parents knowing.
Apparently you can in Wisconsin. I taught my kids from a very young age, never talk to police without a parent there. I don't care what it is. Don't ever say a word ever, regardless of the situation, the scenario, ever. Yeah, this is pretty outrageous.
Once they were on the property, the detectives asked Brendan to walk them through Halloween night and, quote, show them where the fire was. Brendan led them behind Steven's garage, pointed to the burn pit he had already described, and stuck to the same story that he, Steven, and his brothers threw out old tires and a seat cushion on the bonfire, and it got as high as the roof. He avoided eye contact, kept his hands in his pockets of his hoodie, and gave short answers. Weigert later described him as, quote, visibly nervous, gaze downward. Because you fucking pulled him out of school and just took him.
Yeah. You kidnapped him.
It really is kidnapping.
It is.
With just, they have a badge, so
Yep.
whatever. After the walkthrough, the detectives asked to look inside the garage and Brendan's trailer. In his bedroom closet, they saw a pair of jeans with white blotches that looked like dried bleach. The pants were bagged as evidence. They also took the family's Gateway desktop tower, saying that they needed to check the hard drive for anything, quote, relevant to the case. Barb never signed off on any of this.
Wow.
This is all done. They just took him out of school and started doing this. So that's the first thing to note, that Barb never signed off. Second note, during the drive from Michigan High to Avery Salvage and then over to Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, Detectives Weiger and Fassbender recorded Brendan on a micro cassette. This isn't a dash cam. It gets misreported that way, but the audio-only tape runs 35 minutes and opens up with Miranda warnings, followed by small talk. They start bringing up fishing, girls, basketball. And then about halfway through, Weigert tells him, quote, and if you play it right, who knows, maybe we'll get you back as soon as we can. And that's the big line. And it's said in this really calm, friendly tone, as the rest of the interrogations we're going to talk about do. So a lot of people, and me included, it's kind of like you read that as a quiet promise that if Brendan cooperates, more than likely he'll be able to go home.
Absolutely.
And then we'll make a third note, because last week at the end of the episode, I said that wait till we get into how wrestling was used against Brendan, and we'll be super pissed, because I was super pissed. Making a Murder does some tricky editing with WrestleMania in this scenario. The WrestleMania reference that everybody remembers actually comes 12 days after the March 1st interrogation, during a jailhouse phone call where Brendan asks his mom whether or not he will, quote, be out in time for WrestleMania 22. Making a Murder splices that March 13th phone call directly over footage of the March 1st interrogation, using the same shoulder camera jail visuals and no on-screen date. So it's portrayed as being the same event.
Does it? So I haven't seen the footage, but does that make a difference, do you think?
It doesn't make a difference in what they did to him as far as like the interrogations being wrong, but it just follows. It's like more evidence towards the agenda that they had. They didn't need to edit it this way. They could have been honest about the WrestleMania thing, but it stuck. It stuck, 15 years later, that I'm now reading this again, and I'm like, I'm fucking pissed off about the WrestleMania thing.
But
it doesn't change any of this. It's just...
So I guess maybe I'm a little confused. They're portraying that he said it on March 1st instead of March 13th.
Right, like he just admitted to rape and murder, but he thinks that he's going to go home that same day to.
But they're showing it as March 1st, which was before he admitted to anything.
They're
I'm
portraying it along
misunderstanding
with the line he read last time about the police saying, if you play your cards right, maybe we'll get you home. And so I think they're piling on to that thought, saying, later that day he said, well, I'd be able to get home for WrestleMania 2 because I just told you I admitted to all this stuff that I did, I guess kind of referencing back to the cops.
Right.
Telling him he'd be going home. So
Okay.
it's trying to show him thinking that same day that it wasn't a big deal to him. He admitted, so can I get home for WrestleMania 22?
Okay.
That's what I think they're going for.
I see.
Yeah. But in reality, he was just talking to his mom on the phone afterwards. And he's like, am I going to be home? And she's like, no, you're not going to be home. What are you talking about? But,
It was just trying to hammer home the point on that line in the car. They told him about going home.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, I guess I shouldn't say I'm calling them out. I'm just correcting myself from last week because I was like, my angle going into writing this was going to be, I'm going to fucking hammer home this wrestling thing because that's got me pissed, but then there's no wrestling thing to hammer because it was just tricky editing.
Yeah.
Tricky editing.
That makes sense now. I get it.
But still, clearly, he doesn't understand the situation.
No,
even though it's
no.
13 days later, he still is thinking the wrong way about this.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Not everybody has the luxury of sitting around with their pals, having some drinks, and talking about aliens, cryptids, and ghosts. We all face daily stressors in the workplace, whether it's meeting deadlines, coming up with the next big idea, or hoping your latest project isn't a flop. Trust us, we get it. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. To battle stress, most of us simply can't wave goodbye to work, but we can start small with a focus on wellness, whether it be exercise, sitting out in the sun, or reading a book. A vacation is great, but it isn't a long-term solution to stress. Don't forget that therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or any day might bring. Therapy can help us break down our stress levels and allow us to focus more on positive energy and a healthier frame of mind. By working through our stress, we're better able to serve ourselves and others, which ultimately helps us establish and maintain a healthy and happy workplace. Therapy can also be helpful in learning new positive coping skills, setting boundaries, and empowering you to be the best version of yourself. Therapy is not only for those who've experienced trauma. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works. With an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client views. It's convenient, too. You can join with a therapist at the click of a button, helping fit therapy into your busy life. Plus, switch therapists at any time. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/necro. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/necro.
All right, get into the interrogations. February 27th, 2006. This is at the high school again. This goes from 12:30 to 2:14 p.m. Weikert and Fassbender met Brendan in a small conference room just after lunch on February 27th. It was the first time they formally questioned him in connection to Teresa's murder. So he was pulled out of class, no lawyer, no parent. Before they started the recorder, they laid out what they called the ground rules. Brendan wasn't under arrest. He didn't have to talk, and he could leave whenever he wanted. Brendan just nodded and stayed seated. The beginning of the conversation was casual. They talked about how he was holding up, if he'd managed to visit Steven in jail, how his mom was doing with everything. Brendan gave short answers, like, quote, Steven's gone. I can't see him. School is just okay. When they asked him if anything had been bothering him lately, He said no. He didn't. That's one thing when you get into like actually reading the transcripts and stuff, like it takes a while for him to start talking about anything being wrong. He's very adamant for most of the beginning, at least of this one, especially where he's like, no, nothing's wrong.
Yeah. Just want some pizza rolls.
Trying to play wrestling.
Yeah. I just want some pizza rolls. I have some at home, actually. I might make some tonight.
Nice.
I can't eat shit like that late at night.
No, not everyone's perfect. I get it.
So Fassbender, he emphasized that this wasn't going to be a confrontational thing. Quote, we're not going to jump in your face or anything like that. We just need to talk. Okay. A few minutes later, he added, quote, this is your chance to tell the truth. Get things off your chest. And the tone was very gentle, more like a check-in, more not an interview. You know what I mean? Then they started steering. Fassbender told him, quote, we know that Halloween you were with him tending a fire. He followed that with a softer prompt. Quote, anything you saw that night that's been bothering you? Brendan didn't answer. He just looked down at the table. Weigert stepped in, quote, it's not your fault. Remember that. And that's another line that would come up repeatedly. It serves two purposes. It's lowering Brendan's guard and suggesting that whatever happened wouldn't come back on him. Brendan stayed quiet, so Fassbender kept pushing, still in a calm tone. He told Brendan, quote, we know that there was some flesh in that fire. Then he added, quote, we know you saw it. Brendan didn't deny this, that he didn't confirm it either. So Fassbender tried another approach, quote, you won't have to prove that in court. And the suggestion is that Brendan just had to agree with what they were saying, not worry about,
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We don't worry about the details. Fassbender then asked, quote, what did you see in the fire? Toes? Brendan, still quiet, he just repeated toes. No one has said anything about toes up until this moment. So Fassbender followed immediately with, quote, part of a foot too, then a head, skull. Brendan didn't offer anything beyond the word toes at this point. Weigert picked up with closed questions. Quote, would you say the body parts were still connected? Brendan answered yes. By breaking the story at this point into small pieces and offering yes or no options, the detectives are now in the position to walk Brendan through the version that they were looking for without requiring him to explain it in his own words.
Oh, yeah, when you get into yes or no questions now. He just wants to be out of there. Strangely enough, he could just get up and leave, and he doesn't seem to understand that.
But he doesn't understand
Not
that,
at all.
though. That's
No.
the important, he doesn't know that at all.
No.
It's interesting that, and because I forgot this when we started the show, that he had told his cousin, allegedly, he had seen body parts. Who knows what to make of that? Mm-hmm. Who knows what kind of body parts? That could have been the body of a raccoon. We don't know. But then as soon as they say, what, toes? And he goes, yes, toes or whatever. And now he's set on that. I don't know. That's just interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think even like a kid that's 16 a kid that's a straight A student and very intelligent would be very nervous in this situation too, I think.
I think you would think you're doing the right thing by talking to the police, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're just going to sit there and just talk.
You might not be as manipulated, but you would at least sit there and answer their questions.
And you'd be nervous.
Yeah.
That's why you got to tell your kids to never talk to the police without you there. Because fuck all of this.
Not wrong.
So at this point, they move on to the mechanics of the fire. Brendan said that he and Steven drove the golf cart, hauled over a van seat, tires, wood, and an old cabinet. He said that they threw it all into the fire behind the garage. They asked about the RAV4. Brendan said Steven told him he pushed the vehicle into a pit and covered it with tree branches in the hood. Not that Brendan saw it, just that Steven told him. Then they circled back to fear. Weigert asked if Steven ever said anything threatening. Brendan said yes. Steven saw him looking at the fire and told him he'd, quote, stab me if he told anyone. That was the only line Brendan attributed to Steven that sounded like a threat. At 2:06 p.m., Fassbender handed Brendan a piece of lined paper and said, quote, write down in your own words what happened. Brendan wrote 6 sentences across 2 pages. He said Steven asked him to help with the fire. They threw stuff on it. He saw toes. Steven threatened to stab him if he talked. Steven said he stabbed Teresa and put the knife under the seat of her RAV4. That was the only direct mention of a weapon at that point. When Brendan handed it over, both detectives praised him. Quote, "You should be proud of yourself. That's probably the hardest thing you've ever had to do." They gave him business cards and said that he could call them at any time if he wanted to talk or just wanted to get out of the house. At 2:14 p.m., they walked Brendan back to class.
Man, that is something. He's probably like finding the cheat codes to SmackDown versus Raw. That was the hardest thing I ever had.
If he found them, I wish you'd have sent them to me.
That's the thing about those games, too, is there was always so much to unlock, like different tights and stuff.
I wouldn't start playing the game until I unlocked everything.
Yeah.
Like I would find out what you had to do to unlock all like the superstars. And then I'd be like, once I got that, then I would play the game. That's how I did it. I like the full roster.
But you did, pervert.
So the next interrogation is later that same afternoon, February 27th.
I bet it is. Huh? That's weird.
So later that afternoon, around 3 p.m., Weigert and Fassbender went back to Mishicot High and met with Brennan, and now his mom, Barb, was there. They told them they wanted to record a second interview at Two Rivers Police Department. Both agreed to go. Before they left, the detectives asked Barb if she wanted to sit in during the interview. According to their report, Barb said no, that it wasn't necessary. Brendan said that he didn't care either way. Barb would later say that that wasn't true, that she was never really given the option, but on February 27th, she stayed outside the room. At 3:21 p.m. at the Two Rivers Police Department, Brennan was read his Miranda rights and given a Calumet County Sheriff's Department warning and waiver form. He signed it and initialed it in front of both officers, agreeing to talk.
Maddening.
So yeah, it just went from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
They smell blood now.
Yeah, they're just now taking advantage of a guy who doesn't understand what's happening.
And a parent that clearly doesn't either.
Yeah. At least I don't think she does.
You wouldn't.
You would think that.
She's not like, fuck my kid, I'm just going to let him be eaten alive here.
I don't think she understands the severity of it, much like Brendan doesn't. I don't think she understands what's actually happening. And I'm not sure how much was actually explained to her. Who knows? If the cops just played it off as, oh, we're just getting the fine details of a timeline, she might just be like, oh, he's got it, he's fine.
Yeah.
Which obviously is not right, but it changes the narrative.
The videotaped interview lasted about 40 to 45 minutes. Brendan sat on a couch the whole time. He wasn't cuffed or anything like that, and the tone stayed soft. Weigert and Fassbender kept things conversational and calm. Most of the interview covered what Brendan had already told them earlier, same fire, same basics, but this time it was on tape with a few extra follow-up questions mixed in. Brennan said that on Halloween night, Steven had a big bonfire behind the garage. Brennan said that he went over to help and saw what he believed were human remains in the fire pit. He first mentioned seeing toes, which matched what he had told them earlier at the school. Hopefully people don't see that, think I'm being redundant on stuff. I'm just hitting the same thing just to show how he carries stuff down this timeline,
absolutely.
The things that they tell him. Fassbender asked, quote, anything else besides toes? Brennan said he thought he saw part of a foot, a hand, and a forehead. Fassbender followed up, quote, when you say her forehead, was it white bone already or was there still flesh on it? Brendan answered that there was flesh and that it looked, quote, wrinkled, which is how he said that he knew it was a forehead. He also said that Steven noticed him looking at the fire. Fassbender asked, quote, how did he threaten you? What did he say? Brendan said, quote, that he would stab me. He also said Steven told him not to say anything about what he saw, that all that stuff matched the handwritten letter earlier where Steven told him to be quiet. When asked if Steven said anything else about the fire or remains, Brendan said no. On video, Brendan said he helped Steven keep the bonfire going. When Fassbender asked, quote, "You guys put more stuff on the fire?" Brendan said, quote, "Yeah, when it went down." Again, he talked about the old van seat. Then this time he added, he had talked about the cabinet earlier, but now this time he started adding branches and more tires to it. He told them before that they added more fuel. He could clearly see the remains, the toes, the parts he described earlier. After they piled on more material, the flames got higher and the remains were no longer visible. Brendan said that Steven showed him women's clothing in the fire. When asked directly, quote, "And whose were they?" Brendan said, "Teresa Halbach's." He said one of the shirts had blood on it and a hole in the stomach area. When asked if Steven said anything about the hole, Brendan said no. He didn't describe how Teresa was killed or what happened. He only repeated what Steven had told him, that he'd stabbed her in the stomach. Now Brennan is pointing towards physical evidence that matched that claim. Near the end, Fassbender asked, quote, "Was this hard for you to do?" And Brendan said, "Yeah." Fassbender responded, quote, "I can imagine." Then asked, quote, "And there's no doubt in your mind about what you saw in that fire. You know that was a human body in that fire." And Brendan said, "Yeah." The interview ended around 4 o'clock, around 4 p.m., just after 41 minutes. Brendan wasn't arrested. Weigert later testified that Brendan still wasn't considered a murder suspect at this point, just a cooperating witness. Because of the nature of what Brendan had said, what he confessed to, law enforcement arranged for Brendan and his mom to spend the night at a hotel, which was Fox Hills Resort. It was framed to them as like, hey, you just admitted to a murder. If there's any, if there's any other people involved in this that might want to hurt your kid for admitting to this, like, we'll keep you guys safe.
Well, if we remember back to when Steven was in jail previously, he threatened his wife with saying, "I have people on the outside," and all that kind of shit. So,
yeah, he was sending all kind of crazy letters. There's also some evidence that this might not have been all like, "Hey, we're going to keep you safe." Maybe this was more of like, "We want you close by and not at home." Reports show around 10 p.m. that night, investigators spoke with Brennan again off camera at the hotel. No recording was made. There's no written statement from that conversation. We don't know what it was about. All we have is a brief note that says it was to, quote, "reconfirm the bonfire timeline." I tried really hard to look and see if there was like a rebuttal from...
Like in the fucking lobby of a hotel, they're talking to them about this?
That's why I was trying to find like if there's like a rebuttal kind of thing from like Brendan's side of it, like what this conversation was about. I couldn't find anything other than it happened and it doesn't make it into trial.
Interesting.
Get into the final interrogation of Brendan. That's the March 1st, 2006 interrogation. In the first part of this one, Weigert and Fassbender asked Brendan to walk them through what happened on October 31st, 2005. Brendan's first version stuck to what he had already told them before. After school, he went home, was at the bonfire later that night, didn't do anything to Teresa. He saw the remains, didn't do anything to her. When asked if he had touched her or helped Steven hurt her, Brendan said, quote, I didn't touch her. He told them he only knew about the crime from things Steven said or from rumors. The detectives, they did not accept that. They believe Brendan, and they tell him at this point that they believe he was directly involved, and they start using a more guided approach. At one point, Weigert said, quote, let's be honest here, Brendan. If you helped him, it's okay because he was telling you to do it. You didn't do it on your own. The message was that if Brendan admitted to helping, they'd understand this isn't his fault. He didn't take the bait on this right away. Brendan shook his head and said, I didn't do anything.
Is that true, though? Like, if Mike tells me to do something, I do it, I'm not at fault because Mike was telling me to do it? Is that what the law says?
You could maybe make a case where you could try.
All right. I'll tuck that away somewhere.
I think they're playing up the disability a little bit here.
A little bit, yeah.
Manipulation at its finest. Throughout all of this, really. Like, this whole episode is pissing me off.
Yeah. It's a kid.
Yeah, a kid with at least a learning disability.
I don't know if I said it in the very beginning or if I just read this somewhere and it just popped in my head, but like he read at a 4th grade level.
You said that earlier, and he's 16.
Yeah.
And he's reading at 9 or 10 years old. So, look, when I say learning disability, like he clearly is a little bit behind in some ways. He probably does not understand the seriousness of what is occurring. His mom, for better or worse, or is throwing him to the wolves, and he's going to have to answer all this. And we've already discovered that he's prone to telling you something to end the conversation quickly, and might be prone to being led into giving answers that maybe are truthful, maybe aren't, but will get him out of the situation as quick as possible with the least consequences.
Without a doubt. That's exactly it.
Yeah. See you next week. That's my thoughts.
Solved.
Solved.
Case closed.
Can you imagine if we just ended it right there?
Just
that
never
was just
pick
it.
this up.
Started a new subject next week.
Never talked about it again.
That was it.
As the questioning continued, the detectives began suggesting they already knew what happened. They told Brennan they had, quote, a pretty good knowledge of what happened, and they just needed to fill in the details. When he answered with, I don't know, or gave vague responses, they pushed back softly, but they're starting to get more doubtful of him now. Like they're throwing in language suggesting that they now know that he's not telling the full truth. Fassbender also started praising him. He told Brendan he was, quote, doing a good job by talking, and said, quote, honesty is the only thing that'll set you free. It's another one that came up and over again with that line.
Whatever. Keeping your mouth shut's what's going to set you free.
And that's just the thing is like, you just keep going back to is that he doesn't understand this, what's happening. Like it seems like he actually believes if he just goes along with whatever they're saying, he'll get to go home.
Yeah.
Which just makes it so difficult because then when he's saying this stuff, you're like, well, is he telling the truth then? Like, did he see something?
That
Or
girl, his cousin got the story from
his
somewhere.
cousin, he said something.
That was
But
before
then-
all of this.
But then where's the line? How much was he involved?
Yeah.
And how much is he being led and manipulated and exploited for, not understanding the gravity of the situation?
I'll elaborate on it more next week with final
Son
things.
of a bitch. You tease.
But like right now, in my opinion, he saw something. He saw Teresa's remains in that fire. He was probably threatened by Steven to shut up. And then the rest of this has just been manipulation. If they wanted the truth,
Well, I'm half chubbed right now.
I bet you are, pal.
I think at this point, I 100% agree with you. I think he did see something. He said something to his cousin. I think everything after that has been manipulated by the police. And I know we're not at the end yet, but
I think because of that, you're never going to get the real story, right? It's somewhere in the middle, somewhere, but that they tainted everything so badly that now
Look,
you're never going to know.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know what happens to Brendan at the end of this. So I'm going through thinking like, I don't think he's as very involved in this right now. I think he might have saw something or been told something and was afraid and then was manipulated into saying more.
there's just a lot of stuff that we're going to get into here in a second that just forensically could not have happened. They're just not realistic things that are. That
You mean
he's
even more
confessing
so
to.
than Steven's DNA all over a key fob and none of, what's her name, Teresa's?
What was the other thing we talked about last week?
His sweat being all over the car.
Oh, the claims against him when he was in prison, and they were still going to look into him.
Oh, right.
Oh, from his cousin? Another cousin?
It's a
somebody.
female family
That he
member
was assaulting her or
in the
sexually.
90s when he was sitting in prison.
Yeah. And he never had any time out. He wasn't on work furlough. He was on none of that.
Crazy.
And they're like, oh, set it aside, but we'll look for more. If any evidence comes up, we'll open this.
Right.
Okay. All right. I very much now get why there's people hardcore that he's innocent.
Sure.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Based on based upon how the police have just stacked so much against him or manipulated things, maybe.
They've tainted it.
Man, if you're the judge, like, how the fuck do you just keep this? Part of me almost wants to be like, just throw this entire thing out because none of this is good evidence. But that's just where I'm at right now. Let's see.
Trial next week, pal.
It's going to be a 19-parter.
One of the first details the detectives pushed was whether Brendan had seen or heard Teresa inside Steven's trailer. Brendan said he got home from school and played video games. He didn't hear anything. Fassbender told him, quote, "We know Teresa was alive for some time at Steven's. You must have heard or seen something." Brendan didn't respond. Then Weigert said, quote, "You heard something, didn't you?" Followed by Fassbender asking, quote, "Was she screaming? Did you hear her scream?" Brendan paused and then said, quote, "I heard screaming." He said that's what made him walk over to Steven's trailer. From there, the detective shifted to what he saw inside. Brendan didn't offer anything at first. Fassbender asked, quote, "What was going on when you walked in?" Brendan hesitated. Weigert said, quote, "Was she in the bedroom?" Fassbender added, quote, "What was happening to her when you saw her? Then where was Steve?" Brendan said Steven was in the bedroom with Teresa. She was tied up on the bed. When asked what she was tied with, Brendan said rope. The detectives nodded and told him that he was doing a good job. Fassbender asked what Steven was doing, and Brendan said, quote, "raping her." He didn't describe it in detail. He just said that Steven was on top of her. He also, like, offhandedly talks about that he was, like, drinking a pop while he was in the trailer. I don't know, like, it's presented as, like, it's like this cold-blooded thing. I think he just said it because he's a fucking kid that doesn't understand the situation. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he liked going to Steven's trailer because Steven kept Coke or Mountain Dew or something that he liked, and that was important to him. He remembered that he would go over there and drink one.
Does that point to it being true, though, that he was in there seeing something, if he added that little detail?
Maybe. I think it's what you said. These guys fucked this up so bad that you don't know what's...
Yeah, it's so discombobulated that, like, you don't... I don't know how you make any sense of a lot of what Brendan is saying.
Yeah.
He's just worried about getting home to watch wrestling. Like, none of this means anything to him. He doesn't understand it. I don't know. To me, that's enough to just be like, I don't know how you hold any of this truthfully.
Yeah.
Other than maybe the initial statement to his cousin.
I think there's something here. I don't know what it is.
I very much agree.
He definitely saw something.
Yeah, he saw something.
But these guys manipulated the fuck out of the situation.
Or was told something by Steven. Like, oh, you see that? That's burning, body part, blah, 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 whatever. Maybe, and then in his mind now, it's whatever it is.
And he embellished that to his little cousin, trying to look cool or adult or something.
Yeah, because maybe Steven's like, oh, you see that? That's blah, blah, blah. That's a body burning. And then, but if you tell anyone, I'll kill you. Mm-hmm. But then, like you said, tells his younger cousin who, it's a younger cousin. You tell them, those kids, anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know. That makes sense in my head.
Is it possible that he just was at that fire and was looking into it and Steven told him, like, Steven just thought he saw something and Steven was like...
Well, in my mind, that's where I'm at.
Like,
that's what I'm thinking right now.
This is what's in the fire. Don't fucking tell anybody about it. And then Fassbender's the one that introduces toes. And now we're there. Somehow Teresa Halbach is fucking dead and her body and all of her stuff is all over that property. Somebody killed her.
At this point, I am just looking at this from Brendan's perspective, like looking at his case.
Yeah.
We're basing all of this on a interrogation that was so manipulated by police that I don't know how anyone can confidently say Brendan had any major part to do with this, based on what we've discussed so far, unless there's something new that's going to come up. It just seems like he was so exploited and given trigger words throughout all of this, knowing he's agreeable to get out of a situation, that's what he was kind of doing.
I think all that's right, but I don't know that means all of it's not real, though. Like, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean people aren't following you. They may have talked him into saying some of this, but I think there's some truth in here somewhere.
Maybe, but when it's this diluted, how do you pick out what's what?
Well, I don't think you can. That's the problem. But
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't know. Like, I don't know. With all the illegal interviews they've done, if I'm the judge, I'm throwing this entire thing out and saying, I don't give a fuck if they did it or not. This was conducted so badly, we have nothing to go on.
I think you have to.
But, okay.
So Brendan was saying that Steven was the one that raped her, but Fassbender kept pushing on that. Quote, did you do anything to her, Brendan? It's okay. We understand if Steven made you. Brendan didn't answer, so Weigart repeated it. Quote, did Steve make you do something? Then Fassbender said, quote, it's not your fault, Brendan. We know he was in control. This goes on for a while, and then eventually Brendan said yes, that he raped Teresa too. This is how they got their first full admission. Brendan saying that he was in the trailer, Teresa was tied to the bed, and both he and Steven assaulted her. And it's just like every time it's...
But wait, there's more.
We understand.
Yeah.
We understand if he made you do it, it's okay.
Yeah.
He made you do
It's not your
this.
fault.
Right. And then they get an answer after they hammer it into his head for
And it seems like he's now... Is he giving more details that they aren't necessarily leading him into?
Do you
Like,
think so?
nobody had said rape until him, correct?
Correct.
Because that's
Where'd he come
something.
up with that?
Yeah, that's something. Now, what did they tie her with? He said rope. And that's a common answer, I guess. Fuck.
That's my point. They're leading him to it. All this is wrong, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Could there be truth to... I don't know. You just don't know.
And again, you're if this was anybody else, it's probably different. But you have somebody who's, is a learning disability. He's underage. He doesn't have an attorney there. He doesn't have a family member there. He has no one there advocating for him. And has a history of, I want to just get out of these conversations as quick as possible with as little harm done as I can.
That's it.
Motherfuck.
Next, the detective shifted to the murder itself. Brennan still hadn't said how Teresa was killed. That's something they needed to establish. But it's also something they already know, or at least have what they're going to present at trial is that she was shot in the head. They know that already. Brendan didn't know that. So when they asked him how she was killed, he said that Steven strangled her after she was raped. He also said that they stabbed her, which he had already written in his February 27th statement. So none of that makes sense.
But does one preclude the other? Doesn't mean they couldn't have shot her in the head too, right?
Yeah. Could have, yeah. But he still hadn't said anything about a gun yet. Fassbender tried to steer him there. Quote, what else did you do to her, Brendan? He asked, and then again, quote, what happened to her head? Brendan didn't give the answer right away. He looked confused. And then he said, quote, he cut off her hair. Weigert questioned it. Quote, he cut off her hair in the house. Brendan said yes. And then they kept going. They said, what did he do with the hair? Brendan said, Steven, quote, set it down on the counter. They asked what he used to cut it. Brendan said, quote, the knife.
That's an odd twist.
And I don't know. Like, there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that her hair had been cut.
It kind of feels like he's just making it up on the fly and
Right.
trying to come up with what he
Like an
thinks they
answer
wanna
he
hear.
can see. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that really doesn't make any sense. So at that point, once he's saying this stuff, that they obviously know that he's just making this shit up too, because there's no evidence of it. Fassbender dropped this gentle tone and just came right out and said, quote, all right, I'm just going to come out and ask you who shot her in the head. That's the first time anyone said anything about a gun. Brendan hadn't mentioned it before. Now asked directly, he answered, quote, he did.
He said He did.
He did, yes.
He's not saying I did. He's saying he did.
Steven did, yeah. But I'm seeing what you're saying now, Dave, as we're going through this. Like, just because they're manipulating him to get to the gun doesn't mean that he isn't aware that the gun was used. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah. I don't know if that's right or not. It's just making that point.
Fassbender followed up immediately, like kind of shocked, like, why didn't you tell us that? Brendan didn't have an answer. He just said Steven shot her with this .22. The detectives then asked, quote, "You were there, though?" Brendan said yes. But the problem at this point is that Brendan had said earlier that the murder happened in Steven's bedroom, which didn't match the physical evidence. Shell casings had been found in the garage. So Weigert asked, quote, "Where did he shoot her?" Brendan changed his answer, said that it happened outside by the garage. They pushed again because that was wrong, and they eventually got Brendan to say that it happened inside the garage.
That's a little fishy.
Yeah. Throw that on the pile of other fishy things.
Brendan said that after Teresa was dead, he and Steven carried her body out to the RAV4, loaded her in, and then dumped her on the burn pit behind the garage. He said they threw tires, wood, and an old scooter on the fire to make it burn hotter. Weigert handed him a piece of paper and asked him to draw diagrams. Brendan sketched the garage and trailer, marking where the stabbing and shooting supposedly happened. As the March 1st interview started to wrap up, Weigert and Fassbender stepped out of the room for a few minutes, leaving Brendan alone. When they came back, Brendan wasn't worried about anything that he had just said or whether he was going to jail. He asked, quote, "How long is this going to take? Do you think I can get back to school before 1:29? I have a project due in 6th hour." Weigert told him, quote, "Probably not. We'll worry about that later. Okay." And Brendan just said, "Oh."
Oh.
A few minutes later, Fassbender told him that they needed to talk about, quote, "what happens now." He asked, quote, "What do you think is going to happen?" Brendan said, quote, "I don't know." Fassbender replied, "Because of what you told us, we're going to have to arrest you. You're not going to be able to go home tonight." And then he asked, "You kind of figured this was coming?" And Brendan nodded yes. Brendan's first question was, "Does my mom know?" The detectives told him yes, that she had been told everything. Before taking him into custody, the tone shifted again. Weigert told Brendan, quote, "You did the right thing by being honest." Fassbender ended, quote, "Your cooperation is going to help. It's going to work in your favor. I can't say what's going to happen, but it's going to work in your favor."
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Shit. Things to say.
After that, they let Brendan talk to his mom. Barb came into the room for a short conversation, part of which was recorded. She asked him, quote, "What happened? Why did you tell them all that?" Brendan said, quote, "They got to my head." When she asked what he meant by that, he mumbled, quote, "I was just guessing." And that's where we'll pick back up on part 5.
Oh,
That is something.
oh boy.
Still, I'm not sure where I am with all this.
Are you still that Steven Avery was responsible for her death?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But do you guys cut this off if I'm going to get into next week's stuff, though? But you guys very much made it seem like you believed that the RAV4 and the key were planted last week. Were they planted or were they not?
I don't think the RAV was. I think the key is a little suspicious, but I don't think it was either.
I don't
But
think
it was on the 7th look around that they found it?
I think Steven's not very bright, and maybe it got dropped somewhere and kicked out, and it's suspicious, yes. But I also don't think he's all that smart, and parking that RAV4 right by the entrance after.
And the family, then the police just happened to let the family go wander through and say, "Well, if you find anything, let us know."
The operation it would take for police to do this frame job and do all this would be pretty astounding.
Would it, though, on a family like this that maybe just kind of seems to not pay attention? And I'm not saying I believe any one way or another. I'm just asking the questions I have in my head. Because last week you guys had me thinking, oh, the cops 100% put that RAV4 there and then put the key there.
I don't think that.
I personally don't think that either, but I mean,
Like they would have had to burn her body and do all this stuff off site and bring the
I didn't say
bone
anything about
fragments
that.
and all that stuff.
I didn't
there.
say anything about that. But if you even have one piece of evidence that was planted by police, does that not throw the whole thing in jeopardy?
It absolutely does.
That's all I'm saying right now.
And it has to because
Because you can't be having that. You can't have
then
that.
we don't have a justice system if
Right.
it doesn't. So yeah, of course. And if they were just embellishing, that they knew he did it, they had all this evidence, and they just wanted to throw another piece of evidence in there as a means to arrest him right away, then
But they could have somehow just used the guns. That's what they eventually arrested him on, right? Could they not have found an easy way to get to the guns or something?
I don't have a good explanation for the RAV4 key. It seems
Or the
suspicious.
RAV4 in general being right in front, covered with a couple of branches.
I think
that
Steven's a
seemed very
dope and didn't
obvious.
think the police were going to come there. I don't
But
know.
the fact that the police, I think I agree with you, but on top of that, the police just said, oh, the family of the victim, just go walk on in. And if you see anything, let us know.
But it's an open lot, though.
Seems very convenient.
It's not a private property that's closed. It's open for people to go pick whatever at a salvage yard.
I agree, but they asked permission and they said, go ahead. If you see anything, let us know. And it's right there.
Well, because if the family finds the evidence and touches it, then it calls into question the validity of the evidence. So of course the
If
police
the
would want.
family finds, which family?
Her family's looking around the
her
salvage
family.
yard.
Oh,
If
no.
they find the
Yeah.
car, go in it, mess around with it, that throws into question the authenticity of the evidence. So of course they would say, call us first before you touch anything. I don't find that strange at all.
So you're
She's
putting
also-
on that Steven's that dumb that he puts it right up front.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you say?
This is also the police department that Teresa's family are dealing with are different from the ones that were facing the $36 million lawsuit. So this other department, the Calumet County, would have to be involved in this too, in this cover up, as like looking out for Manitowoc. So
You'd have to be really going to bat hard for your town. Like, sure, your town might get bankrupted by this, but you're gonna go kill some girl to frame this fucking guy so your town doesn't have to pay a settlement, and it's a stretch.
I'm not saying they killed her. I'm saying, as we have and I'm not saying I believe this. I'm thinking through it all. Was this, as we have discussed, a crime of opportunity? And then the police discover this opportunity and say, we're going to fucking end all of this right now and put it on this family.
I don't think so.
that's a theory. I mean, that's a theory.
It seems to me the key was planted. It seems to me the car was planted. I'm not sure I'm confident about the body. And they very much manipulated this Brendan kid this entire episode.
But if he killed her on the property, how did the police get the car to plant it there?
Well, maybe they found the car. I don't think it'd be very hard to plant it on this property. It seems like a huge property where these people are very, I don't know, uneducated, not around.
So some police
Maybe
officer
you
took the
could've-
risk of driving a dead victim's car onto the lot with someone seeing him, and so they could plant it there.
Well, I mean, we've already seen how they've manipulated Steven before.
Yeah.
Who, even if one of the Avery saw a cop driving it, they're going to say, "We saw this cop driving it." What's going to happen? They're going to say, "Oh, this is that fucking criminal family." What the fuck does it matter? I'm not saying I believe this. I'm talking it through.
I understand. Look, nothing's beyond the realm of possibility.
These
I think
people
it's a stretch, but
locked a guy up for 18 years and were facing serious lawsuits. It's not out of the question that they would go to extreme measures to put an end. The lawsuit ended the day this all came about.
yeah, no, I don't think it's out of the question.
And again, next week I might change. I might have a whole different theory. I'm just talking it through. I'm not saying I believe all this. Just trying to figure it out in my head. I do not like how Brendan was treated. I will say that.
No. Well, no kid should be treated like that.
No.
Like, I don't think you can make a carve out for a kid with a learning disability. Like, a straight A student shouldn't be treated like this. Because anyone gets scared talking to the cops like this.
Yep. I think that's right.
You can't make some sort of sliding scale based on the intelligence level of kids, whether what's admissible or not. Like, none of it should be.
I agree. Just a hell of a part 4, Ian. Goddamn.
It's a big story.
Got us getting into the weeds on this one.
I told you we were going to get mad about it, but I didn't. I thought it was going to be more about like, motherfucker used wrestling and all that shit. But
So one long part 5 to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so. Next week we'll do Steven's trial, Brendan's trial, what making a murderer left out.
Okay.
Which made it changes how you view that documentary.
Sure,
you know
it
what I
does.
mean? So we'll get into that, and then we will get into what has been, just briefly, what's been going on since then. There was a season 2 of Making a Murderer and stuff. So
I don't remember watching that one.
I didn't watch
I think
it.
I did, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't recall.
So
I'm going to go home tonight and eat pizza rolls and watch wrestling and just see who wants to arrest me tonight for something. You want to arrest me for a crime tonight? Come on, let's have at it.
Wear a black t-shirt too.
I'm wearing a black t-shirt right now.
There you go.
I ain't gonna say shit. I mean, you know what I'm gonna say? I will not respond to questions till my attorney is present.
That's exactly the right thing to say.
And now I'm gonna sit there and eat my pizza rolls as the cops look at me. And I'm gonna ask them questions about wrestling. Hey, cops, I have questions for you. Is it fair that in July of 2006, Rob Van Dam got stripped of his world title because he was arrested for having possession of marijuana?
Not fair.
Is that fair?
Not fair.
Officers. Yeah, see? I'm gonna put them on the defensive.
Now he has
as I eat my pizza rolls, looking at them.
Now he has a weed company, right?
He does. He does very
table
well.
sounds
I think he
alright.
does very well. And he's also married to a porn star. So,
Who's he married to?
what's her name? I'm gonna have to look this up. She did some porn
Porn.
and
You know who else did some porn?
Katie Forbes. I believe. Oh God, I feel bad now if she wasn't in porn. I'm pretty sure.
She's a librarian.
Well,
a master's degree in library
I'm
science.
pretty sure she did some stuff. She does a little bit of fetish wrestling at least, but she also does some pro wrestling too.
Apartment wrestling?
I don't know if it's that, but ish.
sounds like it's along the lines.
Yeah. whatever the realm of fetish wrestling.
Why don't you
is.
see if you can get a signed...
She doesn't have her own Wikipedia page, so I can't look it up.
Get a
Oh, maybe
signed
she
photo and send it to Brandon. Or Brandon. Why do I keep saying that? Brendan. Fuck.
does. Get your glasses, pal.
Oh, my. She is thick with some abs.
Yeah.
Just smoking weed all day.
Yeah. Look at that's what it gets you, pal. That's all right. He did all right. I feel bad now saying I don't know if she did porn. I thought she did. I don't want to miscast her. She did do some fetish wrestling. But she's roll tide. And now
Can't just make up lies about people.
thanks, Pee Wee. But yes, they have their own weed company and they're living high on the hog.
Well, all right.
Dave, what do you got on Patreon?
Thank you to new patrons Lou Sassel,
I get it.
Do It, Leave a Snail Trail.
Jesus Christ.
Miss Anthropia. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled prolapse. It's a mouthful.
An aggressive start to Patreon.
Woody. Caroline. Tyler Hughes. Jessica Garcia. Kitty Dwyer. Watson. Hanley 20. Contact Front. Colt Bolt. Where are my BTK pictures, Mike? All in caps. Angry.
No, I don't know who she is. I'll send you BTK photos if you just maybe DM me or something.
Yeah, you
but
just Google them. They're out
I
there.
don't know who that is. Yeah.
Michael Hughes. Declan Salty Ball Sucker. Salty because he hasn't showered in months.
I don't think he's ever really showered. Sponge baths, maybe.
Ellie. Keith Todd. Oh, how do you feel about this? This is a Keith spelled Kieth.
So he just switched the E and
He
the I.
switched it up. So maybe you wouldn't notice.
It sounds like a dumb Keith who typoed his own name. That's what it sounds like.
He's following
Fuck
the I
you,
before
Keith.
E,
Yeah,
except
fuck you,
after
Keith.
C rule. Jim Beaver. Brian Milham. RPM. Nathan Hutchison. Stephanie Crawford. Donald McLaughlin is a bitch. Sincerely, all of Camp Verde, Arizona. So I don't know what that means, but maybe Donald wronged the whole town. Apparently.
Wow. Who'd he fuck?
What'd you do, Donald? Brandon. Not Brendan, Brandon. Geo can't think of a good name. Beaver Eater 8769.
It's my AOL screen name.
I would change that to my Xbox name.
Joe Duncan and Sky Emelino. Sky Emelino, thank you, new patrons. A wealth and treasure of good material awaits you.
You mentioned you were going to change your Xbox name to Beaver Eater.
Yeah.
It reminded me, I have not played GoldenEye or my N64 in like 5 months.
Damn.
Might go home and plug that in
There
tonight.
you go.
Do that with your pizza rolls.
I got a boner. Sometimes I just miss the music from GoldenEye.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest thing. Like sometimes that music is just therapeutic.
Good stuff.
Anyways. All right.
I haven't watched GoldenEye in forever either.
Maybe you should watch it.
Might be time.
There you go. Ian, what do you got?
On Patreon, we just did one of your history corners, Mike. We did Dr. Feelgood. It
We did Dr. Feelgood, Max Jacobson.
was a good episode.
Thank you. Yeah, we
Fucking
dig
wild
in.
stuff.
We dig into a little bit of Kennedy and the Camelot, the dark side of Camelot. Some Elvis, some Mickey Mantle. Just a corrupt doctor shooting people up with meth.
And it's the beginning of July, so we have a bunch of stuff coming out.
Some paranormal erotica making a comeback this month.
Yeah, those are always fun.
God damn, they really are.
The 8th or 9th one, probably.
That's good shit.
I always like looking back at those to see what number it is because I use pictures, just like random pictures of something for Patreon.
It was something we mentioned throughout the episode.
Yeah, just something like real weird. Yeah, I was cracking up. The last one was David the Gnome. Why was that on there? So, yeah, that's going on Patreon.
Patreon.com/Necronomipod. Dave, anything else on your end?
No.
All right. Good stuff. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Necronomipod, patreon.com/Necronomipod, as we had just said, amazon.com, search Necronomipod, and necronomipod.com.
All right, you guys ready for a cool down beer?
Cheers.